Amidst a lavish and expensive party, a billionaire suffering from crowd anxiety suddenly felt his chest tighten and his breath quicken. Panicked, he pushed through the dazzling lights, ran straight to the emergency exit, and rushed out into the freezing cold. Without a coat or wallet, the cold seized his body to the point of numbness. And just as he collapsed, an elderly woman suddenly appeared, quickly helping him up, taking off her only coat to drape over him and urgently guiding him through each breath to keep him alive. Little did he know that the person who had just saved his life bore an identity completely opposite to what he saw. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from and subscribe, because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. Ryan Cole couldn't breathe. The ballroom of the Metropole Hotel was suffocating him. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, the constant flash of cameras, everything blurred into white noise. His chest tightened like someone was standing on it. "Mr. Cole, over here. What's your response to the merger allegations?" "Ryan, is it true you're stepping down?" "Just one photo, Mr. Cole." The reporters pressed closer, their voices distorted, stretching like a broken record. Ryan's vision tunneled. His starched collar suddenly felt like a noose. He was 32 years old, worth $800 million, and he was about to collapse in front of 300 people at his own charity gala. "Move. Just move." Ryan forced his legs forward, shouldering past a waiter carrying champagne flutes. He didn't care where he was going, anywhere but here. His hands trembled as he pushed through the kitchen doors, startling a line cook who cursed in Spanish. "Sorry," Ryan gasped, though he barely heard his own voice over the roaring in his ears. He stumbled down a corridor lined with industrial dishwashers and plastic supply crates. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, making his head pound worse. There, at the end of the hall, a green exit sign glowed like salvation. Ryan slammed into the push bar with both hands. The door flew open. A wall of freezing air hit him like a truck. Clang! The door shut behind him. Hard, final. Ryan stood in an alley behind the hotel, his breath coming in short, painful bursts. Snow fell in thick sheets, already covering his leather shoes. The temperature had to be negative 15 degrees, maybe colder with the wind. He was wearing only his white dress shirt. His jacket and phone were back inside on his table. He reached for the door handle. There wasn't one. No. No. Ryan pulled at the door frame, his fingers already going numb. It was a one-way emergency exit. Smooth metal on this side, nothing to grip. He pounded on the door. "Hey, someone, I'm out here." The wind swallowed his voice. The alley was narrow, boxed in by brick walls slick with ice. Dumpsters overflowed with trash bags. Steam rose from a vent somewhere, disappearing into the storm. Ryan's panic attack, which he'd thought he was escaping, came roaring back with a vengeance. His knees buckled. He slid down against the wall, his hands clutching at his chest. His heart was going to explode. He knew it. This was it. Ryan Cole, CEO of Cole Holdings, was going to die in an alley behind his own fundraiser, frozen solid in a $1,200 shirt. "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't." His vision spotted black. His fingers clawed at the snow. Then he heard it, a voice. Rough. Female. Close. Hey, look at me." Something struck his face, not hard, but sharp enough to snap his head sideways. Ryan's eyes flew open. A woman knelt in front of him. She was older, maybe 50, with dark skin and gray-streaked hair pulled into a messy knot. Her face was weathered with deep lines around her eyes and mouth. She wore layers of clothing, a stained puffer jacket, fingerless gloves, thermal leggings under ripped jeans. But it was her eyes that caught him. They weren't scared. They weren't surprised. They were focused. "Listen to me," she said, her voice cutting through his panic like a scalpel. "You're hyperventilating. You're not dying. I need you to do exactly what I say. Understand?" Ryan tried to nod, but his head just lolled. "That's a no." She grabbed his face with both hands. Her palms were rough, calloused, but warm. "Look at my eyes. Don't look away. Breathe in through your nose. Slow. Count to 4 with me. 1, 2. Ryan's lungs hitched. "Keep going. 3, 4. Good. Now hold it. Hold. And breathe out through your mouth. Slow. 6 counts. 1, 2, 3. His exhale came out shaky, but it came. "Again," she commanded. "In through your nose. I've got you." They did it again and again. The woman's hand stayed on his face the entire time, grounding him, forcing him to focus on her voice instead of the screaming in his head. Slowly, impossibly, his heart rate began to drop. "There you go," she murmured. You're doing good. Keep breathing. Ryan's vision cleared. He could see her properly now, the lines of exhaustion etched into her face, the chapped lips, the frostbite scars on her fingertips. But her eyes were steady, professional. "You're a nurse," he whispered hoarsely. Her expression flickered surprise, maybe pain, but she didn't answer. Instead, she pulled back and started unzipping her own coat. Her only coat, thin, worn, but warm. She draped the coat over his shoulders and wrapped it tightly around his torso. "Wait, you don't have to," Ryan started. She ignored him. She pulled the coat higher around his neck and shoulders, tucking it tight under his chin like she was bundling up a child. The wool was scratchy and smelled like smoke and unwashed hair, but it was warm. "You've got maybe 10 minutes before hypothermia sets in," she said matter-of-factly, rubbing his arms briskly. "Your lips are already blue. Where's your coat?" "Inside." Ryan's teeth chattered. I didn't think. I just... Panic attack." He nodded. She sighed, her breath misting in the air. "Yee, I figured." She stood up, wobbling slightly, and started banging on the door with the heel of her boot. "Hey, security, someone's locked out." She kicked it again harder. "Hello?" Ryan watched her dazed. She was thin, too thin. Her jacket was held together with duct tape at one elbow, but she moved with purpose, with authority. "Who are you?" he asked. She didn't stop kicking. "Nobody important." "You just saved my life." "Not yet. You're still turning into a popsicle." She hammered the door 3 more times, then cursed under her breath. "Where the hell is hotel security when you need them?" Ryan tried to stand, but his legs were jelly. He slumped back against the wall, pulling the coat tighter. There's a panic button inside, near the kitchen. If someone hit it, then they'd come running. But nobody's hit it. She crouched down next to him again, checking his pulse at his wrist. Her fingers were practiced efficient. "How long since you last ate?" "I don't... Lunch, maybe." "And you're in a tux at a fancy party, which means stress, probably alcohol, definitely no sleep." She shook her head. "You're a walking recipe for this. How often do you get panic attacks?" "That's none of your... I'm keeping you conscious." "Answer the question." Ryan swallowed. "Twice a month, maybe more." "You on meds?" "No." "Therapy?" "I don't have time for... You've got time to die in an alley, though." "Smart." Her tone wasn't cruel, just blunt. She sat back on her heels, rubbing her arms. Without her coat, she looked smaller, vulnerable. Ryan's brain was starting to work again. "You're cold." "I'll live." "Take your coat back." "No." "I'm serious." "So am I." She stood up again, scanning the alley. "There's a loading dock around the corner. If I can get their attention." The door suddenly clanged open. A security guard in a black uniform appeared, flashlight in hand. His eyes went wide when he saw Ryan. "Mr. Cole, Jesus, we've been looking everywhere for you." 2 more staff members rushed out, one draping a wool coat over Ryan's shoulders. They hauled him to his feet, firing questions at him. "Are you hurt?" "Sir, can you walk?" "Should we call an ambulance?" Ryan craned his neck, searching for the woman. She'd stepped back into the shadows near a heating vent half hidden behind a dumpster. "Wait," Ryan said, pulling against the guards. "That woman, she helped me." But when he looked again, she was gone. Only the coat remained still, wrapped around his shoulders, its faded warm tones stark against his white shirt. One of the staff reached for it. "Sir, let me take that." "Don't." Ryan's hand shot up, clutching the fabric. "Don't touch it." The guard exchanged a glance with his colleague, but backed off. They led Ryan inside, back into the warmth and noise. Someone handed him his phone. Someone else brought water. His assistant appeared frantic, asking if he needed a doctor. Ryan answered on autopilot, his mind still in that alley. Who was she? Where did she go? And why did she disappear the moment help arrived? Back in the alley, Maya Johnson pressed herself against the brick wall until the door closed again. She waited another 30 seconds, just to be sure, then exhaled slowly. Her whole body was shaking now from cold, from adrenaline, from the sheer absurdity of what just happened. She'd been asleep, curled up in her usual spot, wearing that coat her daughter bought her 5 years ago. Then she'd heard the door slam and someone gasping like they were drowning. Old instincts kicked in before her brain caught up. Hyperventilation, acute panic disorder, possible cardiac event. 23 years as an ER nurse didn't just disappear because you lost your home. Maya shuffled back to her spot and sat down heavily. The cold seeped through her jeans immediately. She pulled her thin jacket tighter, but it didn't help much. Her coat was gone. She'd given away the only coat she owned to a stranger in a designer shirt. Stupid. That was so stupid. But when she closed her eyes, she could still see his face, young, terrified, lost. She'd seen that look 1,000 times in her career. It didn't matter if they were homeless or millionaires. Panic was panic. Drowning was drowning. Maya reached into her inside jacket pocket and pulled out a small plastic sleeve. Inside was a photo laminated and worn at the edges. A teenage girl with braids and a graduation cap grinning at the camera. "Hey baby," Maya whispered to the picture. Mom did her job today. She tucked the photo back carefully and curled up on her side, using her arm as a pillow. The snow kept falling, and somewhere above her, through 6 floors of concrete and steel, a man wrapped in an old orange-toned coat sat in a penthouse apartment staring at nothing, unable to shake the feeling that his entire life had just changed. Ryan's penthouse was 53 floors above the streets of Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture in shades of gray and white, temperature controlled at exactly 68 degrees. It felt like a tomb. He stood in his living room at 2 a.m. still wearing his dress pants and undershirt. The old worn coat lay on his glass coffee table, oddly out of place against the monochrome palette. His hands wouldn't stop shaking, not from cold anymore, from something else. Something that felt like shame mixed with confusion, mixed with a debt he didn't know how to repay. Ryan picked up the coat carefully, like it might disintegrate. He should wash it. It smelled like smoke and street grime and winter, but something stopped him. As he folded it, something hard shifted inside the lining. He froze. Slowly, Ryan ran his fingers along the inside of the coat until he felt a small bulge near the seam. There was a hidden pocket sewn into the inner fabric, the crude stitches barely holding it closed. He worked it open. A laminated ID card fell onto the table, then a folded piece of paper sealed in plastic wrap. Ryan stared at the ID. St. Vincent's Memorial Hospital head nurse, Maya Johnson, employee ID 4782, DEPT Emergency Medicine. The photo showed a younger version of the woman from the alley maybe 10 years ago. She wore navy scrubs and had her hair in a neat bun. She wasn't smiling, but her eyes looked alive, alert, confident. Ryan's throat tightened. Head nurse, emergency medicine. He'd been saved by a medical professional. That explained everything, the way she'd controlled his breathing, checked his pulse, the clinical detachment mixed with care. But if she was a nurse? His fingers trembled as he carefully peeled open the plastic wrap around the paper. It was a letter written in marker on construction paper. Child's handwriting. The edges were worn like it had been read 1,000 times. "Dear Mom, thank you for saving so many people. Mrs. Peterson said you helped over 1,000 patients just this year. That's so many. You're my hero and everyone's hero. I'm proud you're my mom. Love, Zola. P.S. I saved up for this coat for Christmas. It took me 3 weeks. The colors are kind of ugly, but they're warm colors. Get it." Ryan sat down hard on his couch. 1,000 patients. A daughter who thought she was a hero. Homemade gifts. And now that woman was sleeping in an alley. "What happened to you?" The question burned in his chest. He turned the ID card over and over in his hand, studying the employee number, the hospital name, the date it was issued, March 2019. 4 years ago. Ryan grabbed his phone and opened his laptop simultaneously. His assistant answered on the third ring, voice groggy. "Mr. Cole is everything." "I need you to find someone," Ryan interrupted. "Maya Johnson, former head nurse at St. Vincent's Memorial. I need her employment records, her last known address, any family contacts, everything." "Sir, it's 2 in the morning." "I know what time it is. I'm emailing you a photo of her ID right now. I want a full report by noon." There was a pause. "Is this related to tonight's incident?" Ryan's jaw clenched. Of course his staff knew. They probably all knew by now. CEO has meltdown runs into alley, gets rescued by homeless woman. "Yes," he said quietly. "She saved my life. I need to find her." "Understood. I'll have something by morning." Ryan hung up and stared at the coat again. Somewhere in this city, Maya Johnson was cold, and he had the one thing that kept her warm. Maya woke to someone kicking her boot. "Hey, yo, you dead?" She cracked one eye open. A teenage kid with a grocery cart full of cans stood over her, suspicious. "Not yet," Maya croaked. Her whole body ached from the cold. Her fingers were numb. "You were snoring. Sounded like a chainsaw." The kid rolled his cart past her. "Thought you might have frozen." Maya sat up slowly, every joint protesting. Gray dawn light filtered into the alley. The storm had passed, leaving everything covered in 6 inches of fresh snow. She was alive, barely. Without the coat, the night had been brutal. She'd shoved newspaper inside her jacket and wrapped her hands in plastic bags, but it hadn't been enough. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her toes felt like ice blocks inside her boots. Stupid. So stupid. Why did you give it away? But she knew why. Because when you're trained to save people, you don't stop. Not for money, not for self-preservation. You just act. Maya pushed herself to her feet, her legs wobbling. She needed to move. Movement meant warmth. Warmth meant survival. She made her way out of the alley, blending into the early morning crowd of street vendors and delivery trucks. Nobody looked at her. That was the thing about being homeless. You became invisible. She walked 12 blocks to the recycling center in the Bronx. They opened at 6 a.m. and paid cash for sorted materials. Maya had a system. She'd collect bottles and cans from public trash bins, sort them by type, turn them in for money. On a good day, she made $15. Today, her hands were too numb to grip properly. She dropped 3 bottles before she even reached the center. "Johnson!" The supervisor, a thick-necked guy named Paulie, waved her over. "You look like hell. You sick. Just cold." "Yeah, no shit. It was -20 last night." He eyed her missing coat. "Where's that ugly-ass thing you always wear?" Maya's throat tightened. "Lost it. Tough break." He jerked his thumb at a pile of flattened cardboard. "Got a rush job if you want it. 2 hours of sorting $50 cash." $50. That was almost a week of meal money. "I'll take it." Ryan's assistant delivered the report at 11:47 a.m. He sat in his office on the 42nd floor of Cole Holdings, the folder unopened on his desk. Through his window, he could see the entire Manhattan skyline. From up here, the streets looked clean, orderly, nothing like the reality down there. He opened the folder. Maya Elizabeth Johnson, born April 3, 1973, age 50, last known, Employment Street. Vincent's Memorial Hospital, 1998 to 2021, position head nurse. Emergency medicine termination, voluntary resignation. June 2021, last known address 347 Riverside Drive, Apt 4, be evicted August 2021. Family daughter, Zola Johnson, age 24, current whereabouts unknown, presumed homeless. Ryan's hands tightened on the pages. There was more. Performance reviews all excellent. Commendations. A newspaper clipping from 2019 about her receiving a community service award. A photo of her shaking hands with the mayor. Then the notes section, personal crisis following daughter's diagnosis. Type 1 diabetes requires insulin. Medical bills exceeded $3,000 month. Johnson took out loans, eventually defaulted. Lost apartment. Lost contact with daughter believed to be estranged. No criminal record. No active bank accounts. Last confirmed sighting soup kitchen on West 47th Street, November 2024. Ryan felt sick. She'd lost everything trying to save her daughter. He flipped to the last page. There was a photocopy of Zola's student records. Columbia University. Medical school status, active enrollment 4th year, current residence, student housing, Bard Hall. Financial aid, full student loans $180, 000 debt, emergency contact, none listed. The daughter was becoming a doctor, just like her mother had been a healer, and neither of them knew where the other was. Ryan closed the folder and stood up. He grabbed his coat. "Sir," his assistant appeared in the doorway. "You're 1 p.m. with the board. Cancel it. But cancel everything today. I'll be out." He was already walking toward the elevator. Ryan spent the next 6 days searching. He started at St. Vincent's Memorial, but they wouldn't release information. Patient confidentiality, they said. Former employee privacy, they said. Even when he explained what Maya had done, they just nodded sympathetically and showed him the door. So he went to the streets. He printed 50 copies of Maya's ID photo from his phone. He put on his oldest jeans and a plain jacket, nothing that screamed money. And he walked West 47th Street, the soup kitchen. A tired volunteer took his photo, studied it. "Maybe. We get a lot of people. She would have been here regularly, probably within the last few months." The volunteer squinted. "There's a woman. Yee. Quiet. Always says thank you. Haven't seen her this week, though. Where does she stay?" "Honey, I don't know. They don't exactly leave forwarding addresses." Ryan tried homeless shelters, churches, outreach programs. Most places had the same response. They might have seen her, but people moved around. Winter was hard. Sometimes people didn't make it. That last part made Ryan's stomach drop every time. On the 7th day, he found a lead. A guy at a needle exchange program studied the photo for a long time. Yeah, Maya. She comes by sometimes. For drugs? Nah man, she helps out. Used to be a nurse or something. She can spot an infection from 10 feet away. Tells people when they need to go to the ER. He handed the photo back. You a cop? No, she helped me. I'm trying to return the favor. The guy laughed. Good luck. She doesn't like favors. Do you know where she stays? Try the recycling place in the Bronx. I heard she works there sometimes. Ryan found the recycling center on a gray afternoon tucked between a warehouse and a closed laundromat. The smell of garbage and metal hung in the air. A supervisor with a clipboard glanced at Ryan's clean clothes and raised an eyebrow. You lost. I'm looking for someone. Maya Johnson. I heard she works here. Not today. Comes and goes. The guy's eyes narrowed. What do you want with her? I need to return something she lost. Uh-huh. The supervisor didn't believe him. Ryan could tell. She's sorting cans in the back lot sometimes, but she doesn't like being bothered. Please, it's important. The guy sighed. 3rd Street entrance, through the chain link, but if she tells you to fuck off, you fuck off. Got it? Got it. Ryan walked around the building. The back lot was a maze of industrial bins and sorting tables. A handful of workers picked through piles of metal and plastic, separating them into categories. And there, at the far end, was Maya. She wore the same stained jacket, the same fingerless gloves. Her hair was pulled back with a rubber band. She worked methodically, tossing aluminum cans into one bin steel, into another, her movements precise despite the cold. Ryan's chest tightened. He'd been living in his heated penthouse, eating catered meals, sleeping in Egyptian cotton sheets. She'd been here. He walked toward her, his boots crunching on gravel. Maya looked up. Her eyes widened. For a second, neither of them moved. Then she turned back to her work. You shouldn't be here. I brought your coat back. Ryan pulled it from his bag. He'd had it cleaned professionally, though he'd kept the pocket with the ID and letter intact. Keep it. She didn't look at him. Consider it a gift. Maya. That's not my name to you. Her voice was hard. You don't know me. I know you're a nurse. I know you saved over 1,000 people. I know you have a daughter named Zola who thinks you're a hero. Maya's hand stilled. Slowly, she turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable. You went through my things. They fell out when I folded the coat. I'm sorry, but I needed to find you. Why? Her jaw clenched. So you can throw money at me and feel better about yourself, so you can tell your rich friends about the poor homeless lady you saved. No, I don't need your pity. She threw a can into the bin with more force than necessary. I did what anyone would have done. You don't owe me anything. You gave me your coat, Ryan said quietly. The warmest thing you owned, in a blizzard. You could have died, but I didn't, because you got lucky. Maya stepped closer, her eyes flashing. Listen, kid, I don't know who you are. Ryan Cole. And I don't care. I've been taking care of myself for 2 years. I don't need some guilty rich boy playing savior. So take your coat, go back to your fancy life, and forget you ever saw me. She turned to walk away. I'm not here to save you, Ryan called after her. I'm here because I need you. Maya stopped. Ryan took a breath. His hands were shaking again, not from panic this time, but from the weight of what he was about to say. You asked me that night how often I get panic attacks. The answer is 3 times a week, sometimes more. I run a company with 800 employees, and I can't breathe in my own board meetings. I take calls in bathroom stalls because I'm afraid I'll collapse in front of my team. Maya turned around slowly. I've tried medication, therapy, meditation apps. Nothing works. His voice cracked. You fixed me in 5 minutes, in an alley, in a blizzard. You didn't see a CEO. You saw a person who couldn't breathe, and you helped. That's my training, Maya said quietly. It doesn't mean my company is killing people. The words burst out of him. Not literally, but close. Last year, 3 employees had stress-related heart attacks. 2 quit after nervous breakdowns. We have a 90-hour workweek culture, and I built it. I did that. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I have all the money in the world. I have consultants and HR directors and wellness programs that cost millions. And none of it works, because none of those people have lived through real crisis. They have theories. You have scars. Maya's expression softened slightly. Ryan pulled out a folded piece of paper from his jacket. This is a contract. Chief Wellness Officer position, 6-figure salary, full benefits. Your job would be to do what you did for me. See the people, not the productivity. Keep them alive." He held it out. Maya stared at the paper like it was a snake. "You're insane." "Probably. I haven't worked in an office in years. I don't know how to use half the computers you probably have. I smell like garbage." "We have showers. And I have no degree in corporate psychology or whatever bullshit title that job needs." "I don't need a degree," Ryan said. "I need someone who knows how to keep people breathing when the world is crushing them." Maya's hands trembled. She shoved them in her pockets. "This is charity. Fancy charity, but still charity. No, it's survival." Ryan's voice was firm now. "My survival, their survival. I'm drowning Maya. My whole company is drowning, and you're the only person who's proven they can pull someone out of the water." For a long moment, Maya just looked at him. Then she laughed, sharp and bitter. "You're serious." "Completely. Yeah, you want to hire a homeless woman to fix your billion-dollar company. I want to hire a head nurse who knows more about keeping people alive under pressure than anyone I've ever met." Maya shook her head. "Kid, Ryan, you don't understand. I've been on the streets for 2 years. I've lost everything, my home, my daughter, my whole life. What makes you think I can fix yours?" "Because you're still alive," Ryan said simply, "and you still helped a stranger when you had nothing left to give. That's not broken. That's stronger than anyone in my office will ever be." Maya's eyes glistened. She looked away quickly, blinking hard. "I need to think," she said, her voice rough. "Take all the time you need." Ryan set the contract on the sorting table, then placed the coat on top of it. "But please, keep the coat. It's yours." He turned to leave. "Ryan." He looked back. Maya's jaw worked like she was chewing on words she wasn't sure she should say. Finally, "Why me, really?" Ryan thought about that night. The panic, the cold, the moment her hands touched his face and the whole world stopped spinning. "Because when I was dying," he said, "you didn't see a rich kid having a tantrum. You saw a person who needed help. And I need people around me who can still see that." 3 days later, Maya showed up at Cole Holdings. She stood outside the glass tower on Lexington Avenue, staring up at 50 floors of steel and reflective windows. People in suits rushed past her, not even glancing her way. She almost turned around. "This is stupid. What are you doing?" But her hand went to her pocket where she'd tucked Zola's letter. She'd read it 40 times in the past 3 days. "You're my hero." Maybe she could be. One more time. Maya pushed through the revolving door. The lobby was all marble and modern art. A security desk sat in the center, staffed by 2 guards in crisp uniforms. They looked up as she approached, and their expressions shifted from professional to wary in half a second. "Can I help you?" The older guard's hand drifted toward his radio. "I have an appointment with Ryan Cole." The guards exchanged a look. "Name Maya Johnson." The younger guard typed on his computer, then blinked. She's on the list." "What?" "She's listed as a VIP guest, direct access to the executive floor." The older guard's eyebrows shot up. He studied Maya again, her worn jacket, her dirty jeans, her cracked boots, then cleared his throat. "Right. You'll need a visitor badge." "ID." Maya pulled out her old hospital card. It was the only ID she had. The guard swiped it, printed a badge, and handed it over with visible confusion. 42nd floor. Elevators are to your left." Maya clipped the badge to her jacket and walked to the elevators, acutely aware of every eye on her. She could hear the whispers starting. "Who is that? Is she homeless? Why is she here?" The elevator was empty. Maya stepped inside and pressed 42. As the doors closed, she caught her reflection in the polished metal. She looked like exactly what she was, a woman who'd spent 2 years on the streets. No amount of washing up in public bathrooms could hide that. Ryan's going to regret this. The elevator rose smoothly, silently. Maya's stomach clenched. She hadn't been this high up in years, hadn't been in a building this clean, this expensive, this much. The doors opened. The 42nd floor was sleek and minimalist. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan. Desks arranged in perfect rows, each with dual monitors and ergonomic chairs. Everyone was young, well-dressed, typing furiously. A woman in a pencil skirt appeared immediately. "Miss Johnson." "Yeah?" "I'm Claire, Mr. Cole's executive assistant. He's expecting you. This way, please." Claire led her through the maze of desks. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Maya felt every stare like a physical weight. Claire opened a glass door to a corner office. "Mr. Cole, Miss Johnson is here." Ryan looked up from his desk and smiled, genuine relieved. "Maya, thank you for coming." He stood and gestured to a chair across from him. The office was huge, with a view that stretched to the Hudson River. Everything was gray and white, except for one thing: the worn, faded coat now neatly folded on the corner of his desk. Maya sat down slowly. "You kept it in your office." "It's a reminder," Ryan said, "that the most valuable things don't always look expensive." "That's corny." "It's true." Claire closed the door, leaving them alone. Ryan sat down and slid a folder across the desk. "This is the full contract. 6-figure salary, full health benefits, dental vision, and housing allowance. Your job title is Chief Wellness Officer, reporting directly to me." Maya opened the folder. The numbers swam in front of her eyes. $150,000 annual salary. She hadn't seen 5 figures in 2 years, let alone 6. "This is too much," she said. "It's market rate for C-suite executives. I'm not an executive. I don't have an MBA. I don't even have a current nursing license. I let it lapse when—" She stopped her throat tight. "When you couldn't afford the renewal fees while paying for your daughter's insulin," Ryan finished quietly. "I know. We can help you reinstate it if you want, or not. That's not what I'm hiring you for." Maya looked up at him. "Then what are you hiring me for?" Ryan leaned forward, his hands clasped on the desk. "Last quarter, our productivity dropped 15%. We had 12 stress leaves, 4 people quit without notice, just walked out mid-shift. And our anonymous employee feedback survey had one phrase that kept coming up: 'I can't do this anymore.'" He pulled out another folder, this one thick with papers. "I have a team of HR specialists who tell me to implement yoga breaks and mindfulness apps. I have consultants who say we need better snacks in the break room." His voice was bitter. "None of them understand that people aren't machines. You can't just oil them up and expect them to run forever." Maya sat back in her chair. "So you want me to, be a therapist?" "No, I want you to be a nurse." Ryan's eyes met hers. "You spent 23 years in an ER. You know how to spot when someone's about to break. You know how to prioritize crisis. And most importantly, you know what it's like when the system fails you. That's not a qualification. That's just being broke and unlucky. That's being human." Ryan's voice was intense now. "Everyone in this building has forgotten that, including me. I need someone who can walk these floors and see people, not profit margins." Maya stared at the contract. $150,000. An apartment. She could get off the streets. She could eat real meals. You could find Zola. The thought hit her like a punch to the chest. Her hands started shaking. She gripped the edge of the desk. "I can't do this." "Why not?" "Because," her voice cracked, "because I'm a failure, Ryan. I lost my apartment. I lost my job. I lost my daughter. What makes you think I can save your company when I couldn't even save myself?" "You saved me," Ryan said simply. "That was different. That was one person. One night. And that's all this is. One person at a time. One night at a time." He leaned back. "I'm not asking you to fix everything overnight. I'm asking you to do what you've always done, see who needs help and help them." Maya closed her eyes. She thought about Zola's letter, about the coat her daughter had saved up to buy with her small hands, about sleeping in an alley while her daughter was somewhere in this city, thinking her mother had abandoned her. "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep surviving. I need to live." She opened her eyes. "I want to see the office first," she said. "The real office, not this executive suite. I want to see where your people actually work." Ryan stood immediately. "Done. Let's go." They took the elevator down to the 30th floor, operations and analytics. The doors opened, and Maya stepped into barely controlled chaos. The room was massive and open plan. Hundreds of desks crammed together, separated only by low dividers. Every person had multiple monitors, phones, headsets, keyboards. The lighting was fluorescent and harsh. The temperature was too cold, and everyone looked exhausted. Maya walked slowly through the aisles, Ryan trailing behind her. She watched. A young man in his 20s typing frantically while chugging an energy drink. His leg bounced non-stop under the desk. A woman in her 30s with perfect makeup and dark circles under her eyes that no concealer could hide. She took a call, her voice bright and professional, but her hand shook when she reached for her coffee. A guy with gray in his beard slumped in his chair, staring at his screen like it was a prison sentence. Nobody talked to each other. Not really. Just quick transactional exchanges. "Where's the Jenkins file?" "Did you finish the report?" "I need that by EOD." Maya stopped at a desk where a young woman was crying silently, still typing. Tears ran down her face, but her fingers never stopped moving. "Hey," Maya said gently. The woman jumped quickly, wiping her face. "Sorry, I'm fine. I'm working. How many hours have you been here today?" 14, but I'm almost done with. When was the last time you ate? The woman blinked. I had a protein bar around 10 a.m. It was 4 p.m. Maya looked at Ryan. His face had gone pale. How many floors like this do you have? Maya asked. 4. How many people? About 600 across all operational departments. Maya turned back to the room. She watched a man pop 3 Advil at his desk, watched another woman rest her head on her keyboard for just a second before jolting back upright, watched the energy drinks and coffee cups piling up in trash bins. This wasn't an office, this was a trauma center, and nobody was triaging. Maya turned to Ryan. If I take this job, things are going to change. That's what I'm counting on. I mean real change. I'm going to piss people off. I'm going to shut down projects. I'm going to send people home when they're not okay to work. Your productivity might drop before it gets better. I understand. Do you? Maya stepped closer. Because the board won't like it. Your investors won't like it. They're going to say I'm coddling people, making them soft, hurting your bottom line. Ryan met her eyes. Let them. Maya studied his face. He meant it. She could see it in the set of his jaw, the way his hands clenched at his sides. He was drowning, and he knew it, just like she'd been drowning in that alley. And just like then, something in her clicked into place. Triage, stabilize, save. I want full authority, Maya said. I answer to you, but nobody else can override my calls. If I say someone needs to leave, they leave. If I say a deadline gets extended, it gets extended. Done. I want access to all departments, no restrictions. Done. And I want, Maya hesitated, I want help reinstating my nursing license. Ryan's expression softened. Already started the paperwork. Maya's throat tightened. She looked back at the woman who'd been crying. The woman was typing again, her shoulders hunched, trying to be invisible. Nobody should have to be invisible. Maya pulled out a pen from Ryan's jacket pocket. He didn't even protest, and turned to the last page of the contract. She signed her name. Okay, she said. But I'm doing this my way. Ryan's face broke into the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. He held out his hand. Maya looked at it. His hand was clean, uncalloused. Hers was rough, scarred, the nails chipped. She shook it anyway. His grip was firm, steady. Welcome to Cole Holdings, Ryan said. God help us both, Maya muttered. Maya's first day started at 6 a.m. Ryan had arranged an apartment for her, a small studio in Hell's Kitchen. Nothing fancy, but it had heat and running water and a bed. A real bed. Maya had cried when she saw it. Now she stood in front of the mirror in her new bathroom, wearing donated clothes from Ryan's assistant Claire black slacks, a simple gray blouse, and a blazer that was slightly too big. Her hair was clean and pulled back in a neat ponytail. She looked almost professional, almost like the woman in that old hospital ID. You can do this. It's just nursing. You know nursing. She took the subway to Cole Holdings, her employee badge clipped to her lapel. Ryan was waiting in the lobby at 7 a.m. You're early. Nurses are always early. The ER doesn't wait. Maya looked around the empty lobby. Where is everyone? Most people don't get in until 9 or 10. Some come in at noon. And they leave when? Midnight. Sometimes later. Maya's jaw clenched. That's not sustainable. I know. That's why you're here. They took the elevator to the 30th floor. Ryan swiped them in and gestured to the sea of desks. This is yours now. What do you need? Maya walked through the empty floor slowly. She opened supply closets, checked the bathroom facilities, examined the break room, which had a coffee maker, a microwave, and nothing else. First, she said, I need a space, not an office, a room where people can come and just exist, with a door that locks. Done. What else? Better lighting. These fluorescents are making everyone depressed. She pointed at the vending machines. Real food, not just chips and candy. And I want a mandatory lunch break 1 hour enforced. Ryan pulled out his phone and started typing notes. What else? Maya turned to face him. I need you to send an email to everyone. Tell them they have permission to say no. No to what? To everything. To extra hours, to weekend work, to taking on projects they don't have capacity for. Maya's voice was firm. People here are drowning because they're afraid to admit they're drowning. You need to give them permission to be human. Ryan stared at her. If I do that, productivity will increase, Maya interrupted. Not immediately, but sustainably. You can't squeeze water from a dry sponge, Ryan. Your people are bone dry. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, I'll send it today." By 9 a.m., the floor started filling up. Maya positioned herself near the center of the room and just watched. She'd learned a long time ago that you could tell everything about a patient in the first 30 seconds. How they walked, how they held their shoulders, the micro expressions that flashed across their faces. These people were sick, not physically, not yet, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The young man with the energy drink arrived at 8:45, already looking tired. He sat down and immediately opened 5 browser tabs, his knee bouncing frantically. Anxiety, probably not sleeping. The woman with perfect makeup came in at 9:30 carrying a massive iced coffee. She smiled at a colleague, bright, performative, then sat down and her face went blank. Empty, depression, high functioning. A middle-aged man arrived at 10, moving slowly, like every step hurt. He sat down carefully, one hand going to his lower back. Chronic pain. Stress-induced tension, maybe. Maya started making rounds. She approached the young man first. "Hey, I'm Maya, new wellness officer." He looked up startled. "Oh, hi, I'm Jason. How are you doing today, Jason?" "Good, fine, busy." His knee bounced faster. Maya pulled up a chair. "How much sleep did you get last night?" "Enough. Like 4 hours, maybe 3. But I'm good, I've got my Red Bull." He laughed nervously. "When was your last day off?" Jason's smile faltered. I don't remember. A few weeks." "And how many hours did you work yesterday?" 16. "But there's a big deadline coming up, so..." "Jason," Maya's voice was gentle but firm, "you're running on fumes. Your body's flooding with cortisol right now. That's why your leg won't stop moving. You're in fight or flight mode." "I'm fine, really." "No, you're not, and that's okay." She leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to finish whatever task you're on right now. Then you're going to go home." Jason's eyes widened. "I can't." "Yes, you can. Doctor's orders." She smiled slightly. "Well, nurse's orders, which are better, honestly. But my manager will hear from me if they have a problem with it. You're going home sleeping for 10 hours and coming back tomorrow. Clear?" Jason looked like he might cry. "You're serious?" "Completely." His voice cracked. "Thank you." Maya squeezed his shoulder. "Take care of yourself, kid." She moved on. The woman with the perfect makeup was next. "Hi, Maya, can I sit?" The woman looked up, her professional smile sliding into place. "Of course, I'm Sarah. Is there something you need?" "Just checking in. How are you doing?" "Great, loving the new quarter goals. Really exciting stuff." Maya studied her. The smile didn't reach her eyes. The hand holding her pen was white-knuckled. "Sarah, when was the last time you took a real lunch break, not eating at your desk, actually leaving?" Sarah's smile flickered. It's just easier to work through lunch. More efficient." "More efficient for who?" "For everyone. Not for you." Maya kept her voice soft. "You know what I see when I look at you." Sarah's professional mask slipped slightly. "What?" "Someone who's forgotten she's allowed to need things." Sarah's eyes went bright with sudden tears. She blinked rapidly. "I'm fine. Really. I have a lot on my plate." "I know. And I'm going to help you with that. But right now, I want you to do something for me." "What?" "Stand up." Sarah blinked. "What?" "Stand up. Come with me." Confused, Sarah stood. Maya led her to a window overlooking the city. "Look out there," Maya said. "Just for 60 seconds. Don't think about work. Don't think about emails. Just breathe and look." "But..." 60 seconds. I'll time it." Sarah hesitated, then turned to the window. Maya watched her shoulders slowly drop, her breathing deepen. The tight line of her jaw softened just slightly. When 60 seconds passed, Sarah's eyes were wet. "I forgot," she whispered. "I forgot there's a world outside this building." "I know," Maya said gently. "Let's try to remember more often." By lunch, Maya had sent 7 people home. By 3 p.m., she'd instituted a new rule: no meetings after 5 p.m. By 5 p.m., she'd had 3 shouting matches with middle managers who said she was coddling their teams. Ryan backed her up on every single one. At 6 p.m., Maya sat in the break room, which now had sandwiches, fruit, and real food delivered within hours of her request, and watched people actually take breaks. Actually talk to each other. It wasn't much, but it was something. Ryan found her there holding a sandwich she hadn't eaten. "You look exhausted," he said, sitting down. "So do you." "Fair point." He smiled tiredly. "I got 12 complaints about you today." Maya's stomach dropped. "Already?" "Yeah. Managers saying you're disrupting workflow. questioning your authority." He paused. "I told them all to shut up and let you work." Ryan, "No, you were right. I walked through the 30th floor today, really looked, and I saw what you saw. People breaking, and I've been ignoring it because productivity numbers looked good." He ran a hand through his hair. "I built a machine that chews people up. You're the first person with the guts to call it out." Maya set down her sandwich. "This is going to take time." "I know. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. People are going to resist change. They're going to fight me." "I know. And you might lose money in the short term." "I know." Ryan met her eyes. "But I'd rather lose money than lose people." Maya felt something crack open in her chest, something that had been frozen for 2 years. "Hope." "Okay," she said quietly. "Then let's keep going." 3 weeks later, Maya got a call on her work phone. "Wellness office, this is Maya." Hi, this is Derek from accounting." The voice was young, shaking. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I can't breathe right. My chest is tight. I think I'm having a heart attack." Maya was on her feet immediately. "Where are you?" "Bathroom, 3rd floor." "Stay on the line. I'm coming to you." She sprinted to the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. 3rd floor, men's room. She pushed through the door. A kid in his early 20s sat on the floor, back against the wall, hyperventilating. Maya dropped to her knees in front of him. "Derek, look at me." His eyes were wild. I can't. "Yes, you can. Eyes on me. You're not having a heart attack. You're having a panic attack. I'm going to help you." She took his hands. "Feel my hands. Focus on that. Now breathe in through your nose, slow, with me, 1, 2, 3, 4. It took 10 minutes, but Derek's breathing evened out. When he could speak again, his face crumpled. "I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed." "Don't be." Maya sat back on her heels. "Panic attacks are medical events. They're not weakness. But I should be able to handle Derek." Her voice was firm. "I've seen soldiers have panic attacks, police officers, surgeons. It happens to everyone. It just means your nervous system is overloaded. That's all." Derek wiped his face with shaking hands. "I've been working 90-hour weeks. I thought I could handle it. My manager said." "Your manager is wrong." Maya pulled out her phone. "I'm sending you home for the rest of the week. Paid. And I'm setting you up with a therapist we have on retainer. But no arguments, doctor's orders, nurse's orders, whatever." She helped him to his feet. "And Derek, you did the right thing calling me. That took courage." Derek's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." As Maya walked him out of the building and made sure he got into a cab safely, she felt it again. That old feeling from the ER. Purpose. 6 weeks into Maya's tenure, the board of directors called an emergency meeting. Ryan sat at the head of the long conference table, his hands folded. 12 board members in expensive suits sat around him, their expressions ranging from skeptical to openly hostile. Thomas Whitmore, the largest shareholder and a man in his 60s with silver hair and cold eyes, led the charge. "Let me get this straight." His voice dripped with condescension. "You've hired a homeless woman." Former head nurse Ryan interrupted. "Who has been disrupting our operational efficiency for 6 weeks. Productivity is down 18%. We've had project delays, client complaints, and you're paying her a C-suite salary." "Correct." "Are you insane?" Ryan leaned back in his chair. "No, I'm being smart for the first time in years." "Smart," Whitmore barked a laugh. "You're bleeding money. Our Q3 projections are in the toilet, all because you let some bleeding heart tell our employees they can just leave whenever they want." "They can," Ryan said calmly. "They're humans, not machines. They're employees. We pay them to work, not to have feelings." And that's exactly the problem. Ryan pulled out a tablet and projected charts onto the screen behind him. "Here's our employee turnover rate for the past 3 years, 42% annual turnover. Do you know what it costs to replace an employee 1.5 times their salary? That's industry standard. It's unsustainable. Here's our healthcare costs, up 60% because of stress-related illness. Here's our lawsuit settlements, $3 million in the past year alone from wrongful termination and hostile work environment claims." The room went quiet. Ryan clicked to the next slide. "Now, here's the past 6 weeks with Maya. Yes, productivity dipped, but our employee retention is up, sick days are down, and our anonymous feedback scores have increased 40%. "That's short-term," one board member started. "It's foundational," Ryan cut in. "We're building a company that can sustain itself instead of cannibalizing its own workforce every 2 years. Whitmore slammed his hand on the table. This is corporate suicide. You're making us soft. Our competitors are going to eat us alive while we're having feeling circles and mindfulness breaks. Our competitors are also losing people at record rates, Ryan said. The industry has a crisis. We're fixing it while everyone else is pretending it doesn't exist. By hiring a beggar off the street. The room went dead silent. Ryan's hands clenched under the table. Excuse me. Whitmore leaned forward, his voice dripping venom. Come on, Ryan. We all know who this woman is. She's a homeless person you picked up out of guilt. She has no business experience, no corporate credentials, and from what I hear, she spent the last 2 years sleeping in alleys. This is a charity case, not a business decision. Thomas, another board member started. No, let me finish. We're supposed to trust our company's future to someone who couldn't even keep a roof over her own head. Someone who probably... The conference room door opened. Maya stood in the doorway, carrying a pitcher of water. She'd been asked to prepare refreshments, a task she'd accepted without complaint because she understood corporate politics. She'd heard everything. The pitcher trembled in her hands. Ryan's face went white. Maya, it's fine. Her voice was hollow. She set the pitcher down carefully on the side table, her movements mechanical. I apologize for the interruption. She turned to leave. Miss Johnson, Whitmore said coldly. Since you're here, perhaps you'd like to defend your position. Maya stopped. Her back was to them. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out her employee badge. She set it on the table. I don't need to defend myself to you, she said quietly. And, Mr. Cole doesn't need an employee who's going to be a liability to his reputation. Maya, don't, Ryan started. Thank you for the opportunity. Her voice cracked. It was nice to remember who I used to be, even if it was only for a few weeks. She walked to the door. Ryan stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. Stop! Maya froze. Ryan turned to face the board, and for the first time in his professional life, he didn't care about diplomacy. You want to know why I hired Maya? His voice was shaking with barely controlled fury. Because 2 months ago, I was dying. Literally dying. I had a panic attack so severe I thought my heart was going to stop. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I ran into an alley in a blizzard, and I collapsed. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Maya found me. She didn't know I was a CEO. She didn't know I was worth anything. She just saw a human being who couldn't breathe, and she saved my life. She gave me her coat, the warmest thing she owned, and she taught me how to breathe again. Ryan's hands were shaking. He gripped the edge of the table. Then I learned her story. She's not some beggar. She's a head nurse with 23 years of experience who saved over 1,000 lives in her career. She lost everything paying for her daughter's medical care because our healthcare system is broken. She ended up homeless because she chose to save her child instead of paying rent. He pointed at the charts on the screen. And in 6 weeks, she's done more for this company than any of you ever have. She's seen the people you ignored. She's fixed the problems you pretended didn't exist. She's kept our employees alive when all you cared about was profit margins. Whitmore opened his mouth. I'm not finished. Ryan's voice cracked like a whip. You called her a beggar. You questioned her worth. You reduced her entire existence to her worst moment. And you know what? That says everything about you and nothing about her. He walked around the table, grabbed Maya's badge, and held it up. Maya Johnson is the conscience of this company. She's the only person in this building who remembers that every employee is someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's parent. She's the only one who treats people like they matter. Ryan's voice dropped, became deadly quiet. So here's what's going to happen. Maya stays, her authority stays, her programs stay. And if any of you have a problem with that, you can sell your shares and leave. Because I'd rather run this company into the ground doing the right thing than build an empire on broken people. The room was silent. Whitmore's face was purple with rage. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. I'm still majority shareholder. For now. Whitmore stood up, buttoning his suit jacket. But this isn't over, Ryan. You've made an enemy today. I'll live with it. Whitmore stormed out. 2 other board members followed him. The remaining members exchanged glances. Finally, an older woman at the far end spoke up. For what it's worth, my son works on the 30th floor. He called me last week. Said he felt like he could breathe for the first time in years. She looked at Maya. He mentioned you by name. Said you probably saved his life. Maya's eyes filled with tears. The woman stood. I'm voting to support Miss Johnson's position. Fully. One by one, the other board members nodded. Ryan's shoulders sagged with relief. After the meeting, Ryan found Maya in the stairwell. She was sitting on the steps, her face in her hands. "Hey," he said softly. She didn't look up. "You shouldn't have done that." "Yes, I should have." "I'm not worth losing your board over." "Maya." Ryan sat down next to her. "You saved my life. You didn't have to. You didn't even know me. But you did it anyway, because that's who you are." "That's who I was," Maya whispered. "I don't know who I am anymore." "I do." Ryan's voice was firm. "You're a nurse, a mother, a survivor, and you're my friend." Maya finally looked at him. Her eyes were red. "I'm terrified, Ryan." "Of what?" "That I'll fail again, that I'll let you down, that everyone will see what Whitmore sees, just a broken woman who can't keep her life together." "You're not broken." Ryan put a hand on her shoulder. "You're healing. There's a difference." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ryan said quietly, "I never told you about my mother." Maya looked at him. "She died when I was 12, ovarian cancer. It was brutal." His voice was thick. "And my dad couldn't handle it. He threw himself into work, built this company from nothing, but he was never home. I raised myself in boarding schools and empty apartments. Ryan, when you held my face in that alley, when you made me breathe, that was the first time in 20 years someone treated me like I was worth saving just for being human, not for my money, not for my name, just me." A tear rolled down Maya's cheek. "So no," Ryan said. "You're not a liability. You're not a charity case. You're the person who reminded me what it means to be human, and I will fight every single board member, every investor, every person who tries to take that away." Maya's shoulders shook. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed deep, wrenching sobs that sounded like 2 years of pain, finally breaking free. Ryan put his arm around her shoulders and let her cry. "I lost my daughter," Maya choked out between sobs. "Zola, she needed insulin. I couldn't afford it. I took loans. I maxed out credit cards. I destroyed everything. And one day I came home and she was gone. Left a note saying she couldn't watch me kill myself trying to save her. Maya, I looked for her for months, but I lost the apartment, lost my phone. I ended up on the streets and I gave up. I convinced myself she was better off without me." Ryan's chest ached. "Where is she now?" "I don't know. Medical school maybe. She always wanted to be a doctor, but I don't even know if she's in the city, if she's alive, if she—" Maya's voice broke. "If she hates me." "She doesn't hate you," Ryan said firmly. "No one could hate you. You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I've read that letter she wrote you 100 times. You're my hero, Mom." "That doesn't go away, Maya. That's not something a daughter forgets." Maya looked at him with desperate hope. "Do you really believe that?" "I know it. And I'm going to prove it to you." "How?" Ryan smiled slightly. "Trust me." Ryan spent the next 3 weeks working in secret. He hired a private investigator. He pulled university records discreetly through legal channels. He made phone calls, followed leads, and slowly pieced together Zola Johnson's life. She was 24, fourth-year medical student at Columbia, living in student housing, working part-time at a clinic in Harlem, buried under $180,000 in student loans. And she had no idea where her mother was. Ryan found her on a Tuesday afternoon at the Columbia Medical Center library. She sat alone at a table surrounded by textbooks and anatomy charts, her braids pulled back in a ponytail. She looked exactly like her mother. Ryan approached carefully. "Zola Johnson." She looked up startled. "Yes, can I help you?" "My name is Ryan Cole. I'm a friend of your mother's." Zola's face went completely white. She stood up so fast her chair fell backward. Is she alive?" "Yes, she's alive." Zola's knees buckled. She sat back down hard, her hands shaking. "Oh my God. Oh my God. I've been looking for 2 years. The shelters wouldn't tell me anything. The hospitals, I checked every hospital. I thought, she's okay." Ryan said gently, "She's safe. And she wants to see you." Zola's face crumpled. She sobbed into her hands, her whole body shaking with relief. Ryan sat down across from her and waited. When she could breathe again, Zola wiped her face with her sleeve. "Where is she? Can you take me to her?" "Soon. But first, I need to tell you something. Your mother, she thinks you're better off without her." "What? No. No, that's not. She thinks she failed you, that she destroyed your life by trying to save it." Zola shook her head violently. "She didn't fail me. She saved me. I'm alive because of her. She gave up everything." "I know, but she doesn't see it that way." Ryan leaned forward. "I want to do something for both of you, but I need your help. Anything. How much do you owe in student loans? Zola blinked at the change of subject. A lot. Why? How much? 180,000. But I don't see what. Not anymore. What? Ryan pulled out a folder. I'm paying off your loans, all of them. You'll graduate debt-free. Zola stared at him. You can't do that. I can and I am. Your mother saved my life. I'm returning the favor. But I can't accept. Yes, you can, because I need you to do something for me. Ryan's expression turned serious. There's a gala next week. Company anniversary celebration. I want you to be there. I want to reunite you with your mother in front of everyone who matters to her. Why? Because she needs to know she didn't fail. She needs to see what she created, a daughter who became a doctor despite everything. A daughter who never gave up looking for her. Tears poured down Zola's face. When is it? Saturday, 7 p.m. The Metropole Hotel. Zola laughed through her tears. That's where she used to take me for hot chocolate when I was little. She can't afford it anymore, but we'd walk past and look at the lights. Then it's perfect. Saturday arrived cold and clear. Maya had tried to refuse attending the gala. She didn't want to be in the spotlight, didn't want to deal with the stares and whispers, but Ryan had insisted. You're my chief wellness officer. You have to be there. Please. So she'd agreed. Claire had helped her shop for a dress, simple, elegant navy blue. Not fancy, but dignified. Maya barely recognized herself in the mirror. Now she stood in the Metropole Ballroom, the same room where Ryan's first charity gala had been held 2 months ago, the room where everything changed. But this time she belonged here. The room was full of Cole Holdings employees, investors, and press. Maya stood near the wall, a glass of sparkling water in her hand, watching. Ryan found her. You look terrified. I am terrified. There are cameras everywhere. Good, let them see you. He smiled. Come on, I need you on stage for the speech. Ryan, no. Maya, trust me. Something in his tone made her stop. She studied his face. He looked nervous, excited, like he was holding a secret. What did you do? She asked suspiciously. You'll see. Please, just come with me. Against her better judgment, Maya followed him to the stage. Ryan took the microphone. The room quieted. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here to celebrate Cole Holdings' 15th anniversary. Polite applause. This year has been transformative for us. We've restructured, we've grown, but most importantly, we've remembered what matters our people. He gestured to Maya. Many of you know Maya Johnson, our Chief Wellness Officer. What you might not know is that Maya is the reason I'm standing here today. 2 months ago, she saved my life, and in the weeks since she's saved this company. More applause. Maya felt her face flush. Maya spent 23 years as a head nurse. She dedicated her life to caring for others. And tonight, I want to honor that dedication by announcing the Maya Johnson Wellness Fund, a $10 million initiative to provide housing, health care, and support for homeless individuals, particularly those in medical crisis. The room erupted in applause. Maya's hands flew to her mouth. But that's not all, Ryan said. His voice softened. Maya, you've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. You've sacrificed more than anyone should ever have to sacrifice, and tonight I want to give you something back. He nodded to someone off stage. The lights dimmed slightly. A spotlight hit the side entrance, and Zola walked out. Maya's brain stopped working. She stared at the young woman in the simple black dress with braids and her father's nose and Maya's eyes. Zola, Zola, Zola. Mom! Zola's voice cracked. Maya's glass fell from her hand, shattering on the stage. She ran. She didn't care about the audience, didn't care about the cameras. She ran across the stage and down the steps and threw her arms around her daughter. Zola caught her, both of them sobbing, clinging to each other like drowning people finding shore. I'm sorry, Maya choked out. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. You didn't fail me, Mom. You didn't. You saved me. You always saved me. I looked for you, I tried. I know. I looked for you too. They sank to the floor together, holding on, crying. The audience was crying too. Even the reporters had lowered their cameras. Ryan stood on the stage, watching, his own eyes wet. After a long moment, he spoke into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the real heart of this company family. The applause was thunderous. Later, after the gala ended, Ryan found Maya and Zola sitting on a bench outside the hotel, still holding hands. You okay? He asked. Maya looked up at him. Her face was swollen from crying, her makeup destroyed. She'd never looked more beautiful. "You found my daughter," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I told you I would. How did you even—" "Private investigator. Columbia Records. A lot of very legal but very thorough research." He smiled. "And I paid off her student loans." "You what?" Maya stood up. "Ryan, that's too much." "No, it's not nearly enough." His voice was firm. "You gave me back my life. I'm giving Zola hers. Fair trade." Zola stood too. "Mr. Cole." "Ryan. Ryan, thank you. I don't know how to—" "You don't have to thank me. Just keep being the person your mom raised you to be." Zola looked at her mother. "That's easy. She taught me to care." Maya broke down crying again. Zola wrapped her arms around her, and this time Maya let herself be held. Ryan stepped back, giving them space. As he walked back toward the hotel, his phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. "Board meeting moved to Monday. Whitmore wants to discuss recent expenses." Ryan smiled grimly and pocketed the phone. Let them come. He'd fought for Maya once. He'd fight for her again. Because that's what family did. 6 months later, the Maya Johnson Wellness Center opened on a crisp spring morning in the Bronx. It was a converted warehouse, 3 floors modern but warm. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in natural light. The first floor housed a medical clinic staffed by volunteer doctors and nurses. The second floor had transitional housing, small apartments for people getting back on their feet. The third floor was dedicated to mental health services and job training. A banner hung over the entrance, "Where every person matters." Maya stood outside in the spring sunshine wearing jeans and her old orange and yellow coat, now framed and hung in the center's lobby, with a plaque that read, "A reminder that warmth is not found in things, but in people." Zola stood next to her, now graduated from medical school and starting her residency at the center's clinic. She wore her white coat with pride. Ryan stood on Maya's other side, his hands in his pockets. "You did this," Maya said softly. "You built this." "No, you did. I just wrote the checks." "Still?" She looked up at the building, her eyes shining. "Do you know how many people this will help?" "Thousands, hopefully." "More than that." Maya's voice was thick. "You're changing lives, Ryan. We're changing lives." He bumped her shoulder gently. "All of us." The ribbon-cutting ceremony was small. Just staff, a few reporters, and some of the first residents who'd already moved in. Ryan gave a brief speech about community and dignity. Zola talked about her mother's legacy. And Maya. Maya couldn't speak. She just cut the ribbon with shaking hands while Zola held her steady. Later, after the crowd dispersed, the 3 of them sat on a bench in the small park beside the center. Ryan tilted his face toward the sun. "Remember 2 months ago when I couldn't leave my apartment without having a panic attack?" "Yes," Maya said. "I went a whole month without one. First time in 3 years." "That's good, Ryan. Really good. It's because of you. Because you taught me how to breathe." Maya smiled slightly. "I just reminded you how. You always knew." Zola leaned against her mother's shoulder. "Mom." "Yeah, baby. Thank you for everything you sacrificed for me." Maya's eyes filled. "You don't have to thank me. You're my daughter. I'd do it 1,000 times over." "I know, but I need to say it. You gave up everything so I could have insulin, so I could live. And I never said thank you. You lived. That's all the thanks I needed." Ryan stood up. "I should let you two." "Sit down," Maya ordered. He sat. Maya took both their hands, Zola's on one side, Ryan's on the other. "I spent 2 years thinking I'd lost everything," she said quietly. "My home, my career, my daughter, my purpose. I was ready to die in that alley the night I met you, Ryan." "Maya, let me finish. I thought I was done. Finished. Just waiting to freeze. And then you showed up panicking and dying, and something in me woke up. Because even at my lowest, I was still a nurse. I was still someone who could save people." She squeezed their hands. "You gave me back my life, Ryan. You found my daughter. You gave me purpose again. And I know you think you owe me, but the truth is, we saved each other." Ryan's voice was rough. "My mom died when I was 12. I never had a chance to say goodbye. Never had a chance to tell her I loved her." He looked at Maya. You feel like family, like the mother I lost." Maya's face crumpled. "Oh, Ryan, is that weird? I don't want to make it weird." "It's not weird." Maya pulled him into a hug. "You're my family too. Both of you. My daughter and my son." Ryan buried his face in her shoulder and cried, not from panic this time, from relief, from belonging. Zola wrapped her arms around both of them, and there on a bench in the Bronx, 3 broken people who'd found each other became whole. 1 year later, Maya stood in the lobby of the wellness center watching the evening news on the mounted TV. The anchor smiled. The Maya Johnson Wellness Center has served over 2,000 individuals in its first year of operation. CEO Ryan Cole announced today that Cole Holdings will be opening 5 additional centers across New York State, funded by Maya Turned It Off. She didn't need to hear the rest. She knew. The center hummed with life around her. A nurse called someone in for their appointment. A resident laughed at something a job counselor said. Someone played guitar in the common room. This place was alive. Zola appeared in the doorway, still in her white coat. "Mom, we've got 3 walk-ins who need assessment. You ready?" Maya grabbed her own coat. She'd reinstated her nursing license 6 months ago. "Always ready," she said. They walked into the clinic together, mother and daughter working side by side. Outside, Ryan pulled up in his car. He'd stopped by every week since the center opened, sometimes to check on operations, usually just to visit. Today, he carried a box of pastries from the bakery down the street. He walked inside, waving at the receptionist. "Hey, Sandra, Maya around. Clinic. But she'll be out soon." Ryan sat in the waiting area surrounded by people from every walk of life. Some were homeless, some were housed. All were treated with the same dignity. This was what Maya had built. No, what they'd built together. When Maya emerged from the clinic an hour later, she found Ryan asleep on the waiting room couch, his head pillowed on his jacket, the pastry box balanced on his chest. She smiled and draped her old coat over him. He stirred, slightly mumbled, "Thanks, Mom," and went back to sleep. Maya's heart felt full. She'd lost everything once, her home, her savings, her sense of self. But she'd found something more valuable, family, purpose, home. Not in buildings or bank accounts, but in the people who chose to stay, who chose to care, who chose to see each other as human. That night, as Maya locked up the center, she stood under the sign, "Where every person matters." She'd been invisible once, forgotten, discarded, never again. She touched the wall, solid, real permanent, and whispered to herself, "You matter. You always mattered." Then she went home.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.